Hello and welcome back to another edition of Talking Quack and Smack with TC Duck Club. We're really excited about today's episode. We got the owner and operator, Mr. Ryan Law. We got Caleb and Adrian over from Georgia. And this guy right here needs no introduction. This is Captain Charlie from Aleutian Island Outfitter, all the way from nearly Russia, Island X, Alaska, Cold Bay, Alaska, Kodiak, Alaska. Really, he's just a champ. He's the goat of sea duck hunting, if you will, or one of the goats, and nobody does it bigger than Charlie. So we're really excited and hope you like the episode. Y'all stay with us because we're gonna keep killing it. All right, so I guess without further ado, I guess we'll kick it off. You know, we were at the TC Duck Club meet and greet, if you will, at the Sitka store in Atlanta, and met Caleb and Adrian, and it's, you know, Adrian is kind of easy to spot. You just look above everybody else and see him walking through the Sitka store. So I knew I had to go up and talk to him immediately. But Adrian, how was y'all's trip over?
Oh, it was great. We had a good time. Weather's nice. You know, as you did say, we did meet y'all at the Sitka store, and we had a blast. It was a meet and greet the first time I met TC Duck Club. And as far as going, I mean, we got to conversate and find out I was going to Alaska and that you had already been. So, you know, we had our conversation about that. And here we are now with Mr. Charlie between us. So we can compare our stories.
You know, it's really a small world, but, you know, for the people that hadn't been, it takes some getting into or some getting, you know, some planning, if you will, to end up at Island X and really Alaska. I mean, you don't just get lost and end up in Alaska. Like you gotta want to be there to end up at Aleutian Islands Outfitters, I guess.
I mean, to be honest, it's a life-changing experience. I mean, it's the hardest hunting I've ever been on, but I mean, it's the most rewarding as well.
It is definitely a trip of a lifetime, really. And I really hate to say a trip of a lifetime because I'm afraid if my wife hears me say that, she'll say, well, you've already been. But I want to go back. But, you know, me and Ryan went, COVID happened and kind of postponed our trip, if you will. It kind of shut it down. And, you know, we were like kids at Christmas. You know, we were like, hey, can we go? Is it going to be open? Well, we don't know. You know, we'd call back 3 or 4 days later. Hey, you heard anything? You know, and I'm sure I run his phone bill up and probably got on his nerves. But, you know, we were so excited to you know, just to get to go because Alaska, at that time, there's only 2 states we hadn't hunted in. And Alaska and Hawaii being those 2 states. And, you know, it was just a bucket list trip because we were wanting to kill the 41, and that's the only duck that we needed. And you know, the North American 41, to me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to kill the North American 41 and get on an airplane and go to Greenland. You know, it just wasn't in the cards for us. I mean, we could do it, but it's just not the same experience. You know, nobody is more American than me. I mean, I got on American flag socks, baby. I'm red, white, and blue throughout, you know, top to bottom. And, you know, it just wouldn't have been the same. And I'm sure Greenland's probably, you know, Greenland's Greenland, but, you know, it ain't America. You know, I mean, and
no, and there's one of the big differences, and that's what I wanted to talk about, is everybody, you know, it's kind of like the new flavor of the week. And, you know, the big difference is, you know, we pioneered the king eider hunting, started in 2001. And we've had, about 800 clients, successful clients come with us since the early 2000s. And, I mean, we pretty much got it figured out. We got it wired. You saw, I mean, you guys, you were there the year before. You were there last year, Adrian. You guys got your kings. You got the Harlequin. You got some scoters. I mean, the big thing that I can tell people is that, you know, when you come hunting with us, it's a hunt. It's an adventure. It's not just killing birds. You're coming up there to have an adventure of a lifetime. You know, Adrian, I mean, I remember when you came in, we went out and hunted. I mean, tell a little bit about what your hunt. I mean, you had a good time. I mean, it was tough.
It was very tough. I mean, it's definitely an experience because, you know, not only are you dealing with the ducks, you got to deal with the weather as well. Mm-hmm. You know, we had sustained 40-mile-an-hour winds all week long with up to 60-mile-an-hour gusts. Mm-hmm. So, you know, for me, coming from Middle Georgia, shooting, I mean, I could shoot a wood duck, lead it a couple feet, no problem. But going to Alaska, I had to get my bearings right. You have to lead the birds 14, 15 feet. I mean, you have to lead them. but also you got to account for, the wind and your hands being cold. That's the coldest I've ever been in my life duck hunting. So
it's kind of like riding a roller coaster shooting too, ain't it? The way the waves.
Oh man, you're up and down. I mean, the waves coming in, you got 7-8 foot swells. I mean, it's definitely an experience, but that was the enjoyment of it. It was just an overall. If you loved waterfowl hunting, this is the peak of it, and that's the reason why.
It is the peak. I mean, once you've been to Island X, I mean, you're 80 miles from Russia, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're not too far.
You're not far from Russia, and you're in the middle of the Bering Sea at the same port, if you will, that they filmed The Deadliest Catch.
In an inflatable raft, by the way, too. In a dinghy.
In an inflatable dinghy with one motor on the back of it. And
water rushing in every time you go on.
We've been doing this for 30 years and nobody's ever been killed. Y'all are safe. And I'm like, dude, I'm so cold I can't make myself quit shaking. Like, I mean.
Like I said, Scott, it's about the adventure. And we gotta you gotta play the part a little bit. You gotta have some adventure, man. I want to make sure you get your money's worth,
brother. I'm telling you, it was like hunting with Ric Flair. We're hunting with the champ. I mean, we're on the biggest stage, and like we're hunting the king of them all, in like 20-foot rollers, and everybody's like, well, what was it like? And he mentioned it being like a roller coaster. How I explained it to everybody, like it was like whitewater rafting and shooting sporting clays. Like if you think you're a good shot, take you a handful of shells and go out there. I want to see it. Like I'm telling you, you'll get humbled quick.
It's not even that. I know having to dress for the weather. You're wearing a bigger jacket. I don't normally wear a heavy jacket like that. But also, you will not stay dry. Like
you're better off just going a t-shirt, because once you get from around that point right there at the harbor, once you get into the ocean, if you're in that little dinghy, you might as well just put on a t-shirt and a pair of swimming pants, because you're going to be soaking wet. But when you kill that first king and that adrenaline takes off, you don't even worry about it then.
Look, I'd rather walk through hell in a gasoline suit as have to go up there without Sitka gear. Like I'm just telling you right now, and as waterproof as that Sitka gear is, when you zip it up as far as it'll zip, and then you put that little thing over your face and pull that hood up, a head this big leaves a pretty big hole, brother. And I'm telling you, a hole this size, water's getting in there. And when that water's splashing, hitting you in the face, it lets you know you're still alive, son. I mean, it is right at daylight. You're soaking wet. It's below zero, and you tell everybody, well, that sounds miserable. It's the most fun you can ever do. Like I tell everybody, there's football players and there's everybody else. There's no feeling, there's no drug, there's no alcohol. I've been in music videos. We've been all over the world. We've been to Africa. And he was my left tackle in high school. And I tell everybody, there's no feeling like Friday night. Going out in front of the whole town, if you will, the whole community, and playing in a big game and winning that game. Like there's no Island X is that.
I mean, you got to understand. Just because I understand you had Captain Charlie here today, I drove from Georgia just to sit next to this man right now. I even wore my swag.
What about this?
Look at the swag. I don't see no TC swag.
We thought the whole time he was here to see us.
Hey, look, I got it's a billboard here, so the TC get on the back or side, but I had to represent for Mr. Charlie. I mean, he took good care of me.
Told me Charlie was coming. I said, Charlie. I said, the guy from Alaska. He said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. I'll be there. What time?
Yeah, we didn't have to. That's the workingest human being alive. And we didn't have to pull his arm to get him to come up here. He said, Charlie from Alaska? I was like, no, Ryan. The guy lives up underneath Megan Bridge down there in Gadsden. I said, yeah, the guy from Alaska.
I'll tell you a little thing. When you messaged me the other day, we've been running around. We just got done with a couple of shows, and we were up in Minnesota. We did that other podcast with the Midwest Flyways, and then we've been in the Carolinas visiting Helen's family because I got to go in and have a little maintenance work done on my hip. But anyway, Helen had made plans, for us to go to Myrtle Beach for the weekend. And Stephanie's over there, and little Charlie and everything. That's why Steph didn't come, because anyway, I sprung this on Helen on Friday. I said, Helen, I think I'm going down to do a podcast on Sunday. She goes, well, we got a place rented in Myrtle Beach all weekend until Monday. I said, well, I think we're going to go down. And I said, you don't have to go with me. I'll just go. And she goes, no, I want to ride down with you. I'll go with you and see everybody. But anyway, I wasn't really paying attention when you said, yeah, we're right on the border of Georgia. And I'm like, well, Carolinas and Georgia, we're pretty close. And then this morning, when half asleep at 6:30 in the morning, I'm punching in the GPS and it says 7 hours and 59 minutes. I'm like, damn, that's like that's a little more than
road trip, baby.
Road trip to come over here to do But anyway, I'm glad I made it over here. And like I said, get to see everybody. And we're going to tell some stories and have a good time. And anyway, I just, like I said, I can't thank you enough, and I'm, following you and seeing what you guys are doing and following your trips around the country. I'm pretty excited about it.
Well, we're gonna keep going, and like I said, as soon as I get permission from my better half, the boss lady, we're wanting to come back and hunt again, maybe go fishing, but The problem with the Cold Bay trip, I'm a high school football coach, so it's right in the middle of
September and October is a tough time for football and kids and schools and
it's a tough time for us. But I've got somewhere about 10 years left to finish up my retirement, and when I get enough days in, they're going to look around in that school and they're going to say, "Hey, have y'all saw Coach Ray? He was here this morning." He's like. They're going to be like, "Yeah, Coach Ray, he left the playground about 15 minutes ago, and he's I don't know where he went." They're going to find out Coach Ray retired, and I ain't telling nobody. I'm gonna have it down to the second. I'm out the gate, and I'm chasing fish and big game and waterfowl all over the country. I'm just ate up with it, and I love my job. I've got a great group of administrators and coworkers, but I'm bound for the wilds of Alaska at some point in time. I've got to go back, and like I said, my wife is awesome, and she puts up with me, and I'm really blessed to get to call her my wife, I guess. But one of my favorite women on the planet is Miss Helen. And I don't know if you didn't just I don't know if you've got something on her, blackmailed her or what, but the stories that we've heard, not only in Alaska but earlier today, most people's wives ain't like Miss Helen. I mean,
I got to tell you, I won the grand prize with Miss Helen. She's put up with me. She has put up with my shenanigans. I met her. She was 19 and I was 23, and I started dating, and I drug her up to Alaska, and it's just one of those things. The story's been told bunches of times, but yeah, we lived in a tent for the first year, and she stuck by me, and I've.
Well, did she fall in love with you or Alaska?
We're fixing to get into the soap opera. We're fixing to Dr. Phil this episode.
I don't know. I think it was just the good luck, the good looks and charm.
Yeah, it could be.
When I was a young guy, I was kind of a stud.
It could be.
Now I'm an old guy, not so much, but that's okay.
I used to look a little better than I do now. I kept the same eating habits and cut out all the exercise. I tell everybody, some of the happiest people I know are fat people.
Right.
So, and I found, I've done some extensive research on it. I mean, I've done some major studies on it, and I guess my thesis would be, it's a lot more fun to find that weight than it is to lose it. I mean, I ain't found a good way to exercise yet.
As a big guy, I gotta, put my point on this. If you haven't been to Alaska, for us in Georgia, we flew from Atlanta to Seattle to Anchorage, and then you have to get on a charter plane from Anchorage to Island X. Well, the charter plane isn't but a little tin can. So it's small enough. I had my right ass cheek in the seat and my left ass cheek was in the aisle. I mean, it's tight. Like, you can't move on, when you get on
brother, I'm telling you, I was on the same plane, and man, you can seesaw. So I mean, I feel your pain, brother. But the charter plane, that was a first for me. I don't know if it was a first for you, but
now come on, it was a Beech 1900 twin turboprop. It's a 20-passenger plane, but we have it configured for 12 when you guys come out. But it is, I will admit, it's cozy.
Look, I'm
a big guy too, but it's cozy for me.
Well, what makes it interesting is when you get to the airport, you walk up there to get on it, and there's a guy who looks about 5 years younger than him standing there and says, "Hey, who are you?" Hey, so I'm the captain, the pilot. Oh, okay. You have your driver license yet?
That's what I've told people, and
and up there, like I'm telling you, we DIY'd the 41, like, and how we didn't get killed along the way doing some of the things that we've done. Like, we practiced long line and decoys for the first ever long line, first time we had ever going to do it. We practiced long line and decoys in my swimming pool. Like, we didn't have a clue, and we were using shower curtain clips, like shower curtain clips to hold the decoy. We didn't have long line clips available in South Alabama, and
clips.
Yeah, I mean, like, we were using shower. So, we found out real quick, like pulling them back in in the swimming pool, that wasn't going to work. So we went and got a fish stringer from Walmart and used the fish stringer and nylon paracord. Like, we'd pull out 3 or 4 feet and tie an overhand knot and put a fish clip on it. And then we were doing that and wrapping it up around a wooden stick. That's how we were doing it. And it's funny, how, you talk about starting out, and trying to DIY the 41. We were going to Ocean City, Maryland. And Jeff Coates is another one of my, heroes, if you will. Like, he's just one of the first guy we saw doing sea duck hunts. Unfortunately, we live on Weiss Lake, but there's no scoters. So if you're going to kill the 41, you got to go where they are. They're not coming to you. So we're watching Drake's Migration Nation one night on TV, and I'd had a 18-foot War Eagle boat, and I sold it and bought a Sea Arc Easy 200 with 150 horsepower 4-stroke Suzuki on it. Like, it's the biggest duck boat in this town. Like, it was awesome. Like, I special ordered it. Got it out of Athens, Alabama, went up there, picked it up, and brought it in town, and all my buddies immediately, including Ryan, man, where are you going to hide that big old boat? And I'm like, dude, it's only 3 foot longer than the other one. The motor's, 60 more horsepower. I said, we'll just go a little faster. I said, the same blind will fit on it. It'll hide it, and the seats and everything. Had pontoon couches down the sides, and we're thinking this boat is massive, like, because it's a great deal bigger than my War Eagle. So anyway, me and him are sitting there. He come over to look at the boat, and like, it's like a Thursday night. And Ryan said, man, we need to go up there and do that. And I said, well, let's go. And we're sitting there watching Jeff Coates, and he's telling us where he's at, and shoot, we're going to go.
See the stair-step boat tail? And that's the giveaway, the water tower and the stair-step boat.
And the water tower, and then the Ferris wheel on the beach. So we get on Google Earth. Our only research is just finding out where he's at. Oh, we got him. We got him. So we go to the basement and start trying to figure out how to long line. This is like 8 o'clock at night. We're out there beside the swimming pool. My wife's looking at us like we've discovered crystal meth or something. And we're long lining these decoys in the dadgum swimming pool. And Ryan was like, dude, this ain't going to work. So we get the crappie stringer, come back, and it's rocking on into 9:30, 10 o'clock. When we stay up to like midnight spray painting wood ducks. Like, we're spray painting them black. And mallard decoys, just any kind of old junk decoys we have, we're spray painting them black and putting a yellow beak on them, look like a common scoter. So anyway, we go out, and we make this plan that we're going to go to Ocean City, Maryland. So I talked my wife into going with us, and Ryan hops in the truck, and we make it all the way to Collinsville, which is the town I now work in. And we get to Collinsville, and we're about 15 minutes down the road, like, not far. And we're going to check the manifest, if you will, before we get on the interstate. We get down there, and we blew out 3 dozen decoys before we get to the interstate. So now
we have 1 dozen.
We've got 1 dozen decoys. We got 1 dozen decoys, and Ryan said, "Are we going to go back and look for them?" I said, "No, man, we don't need that many decoys." I said, "The guy's sitting out there in the boat. I mean, how hard can it be?" So we call the game warden, and the game warden up there, we tell him, "Hey, we're from Alabama. We're coming to Ocean City, Maryland. We're going duck hunting." So he was like, "All right, I said, "Well, how deep's the water?" And he said, "Well, it's about 80 foot. I've got the dog in the back, and we're tying those paracords together, overhand knot them, tying, because we're thinking 40, 80, no big deal." So anyway, we get out there, and when we get there, Jeff Coates' truck and boat trailer sitting in the parking lot, and we pull in. And again, I've never cranked this boat. We've never put it in the water, nothing. It's brand new. And we're thinking, that duck water can't be.
We have a definition of that. It's called Turon. Half tourist, half moron.
So I'm like, he's got a duck water. We've got a Sea Arc. We've seen. Same boat. Same boat.
Sure.
And
Kinda. but different.
Except it's not. So, it's still, we're green. We're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. We're probably 22, 23 years old, and anyway, we get in there and Jeff Coates, truck and boat trailer's there, and he's gone. He's long gone, So, Ryan backs me in, and I've turned the light bars on, turned the radio on, turned the depth finders on, GPS.
Straight redneck.
Oh man, yeah, we're proud. Like Alabama style, son. We're letting everybody know that we're in a pretty nice
We're loud
boat.
and proud.
So another guide comes in. He's got 3 or 4 guys from New Jersey with him, and another guide comes in, and Ryan's walking across the parking lot, and I'm thinking, God, please don't talk to Ryan. Please don't talk to Ryan. He backs that boat in right beside me, because Ryan don't put up with
no sugarcoating.
No sugarcoating, straight truth. So I'm like, please don't talk to him. Please don't talk to him. He backs in beside me, and Ryan's walking down the boat ramp, fixing to come down that little dock. And the guy says, "Hey, y'all going with Jeff?" Ryan said, "Who's Jeff?" He said, "Jeff Coates." But he said, "Buddy, we're from Alabama. I don't know who that is." And Ryan didn't. He didn't put 2 and 2 together. The guy he saw about was on the TV. Reason we're there. So anyway,
The guy did ask. He said, "Well, what part of the bay are y'all hunting in that little flat bottom?" And I look over at his boat, and it's like the Titanic. It's
Yeah.
for the lifeboat. I said, "The bay?" I said, "You see the buoy out there?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "We're hooking to the left, headed towards the Titanic." And he said, "Hey guys, whatever y'all do, please be back in by 8 o'clock." He said, "The current," which you're familiar about all this.
Oh, yeah,
the
tides and current.
the wind,
The tide.
It's going to get bad. Well, we drive out there.
And it's slick as this floor. Like it's as slick as this floor. There's no wind. I'm thinking, these guys are soft. I mean, bad. I mean, we're no big deal.
We get our decoys out, and our long line and don't work like we think it does.
Man, it's a tangled mess.
Skylar's backing up. Well, the current, the wind at this time has picked up a little bit. Well, our long line has turned into like just a group.
It looks like the decoy mat. You know the decoy mat. Look, our long line has got into a wadded mess. Like it's just like a big knot. It's like they're all feeding. Like you got the whole Atlantic Ocean. They're all feeding in a 3-foot circle, size of a beach ball. They're just wadded up. And I said, "You want to mess with it?" He said, "No." He said, "Let's just see what happens. Let's just wait till daylight."
And these guys we was talking to, they went right out the inlet and just went out like 100 yards and stopped. Of course, we went towards the Titanic. We go like 5 or 6 miles like to the left.
We're trying to get away from them and be respectful, So anyway, for whatever reason, they all come from our direction first. And we put on a clinic, son. I mean, put on a clinic.
You educated all them birds for the guys before they got to the next.
We didn't educate the ones we shot at. We gave them a dirt nap, son. I hope that's right with the Lord. We set the meeting up like we put on a clinic, and it got to where the water was kind of rolling a little bit,
Starting to build a little bit.
Well, I'm judging our success based on because we could see them. And I'm like, them old boys, they ain't doing it the way we doing it. We killing them down here. We doing it. So the water kept kind of getting a little rough. And we saw a 14 foot shark. I don't know if it was Jaws or if it was, I don't know what kind of shark it was. I'm a duck hunter. I'm not a marine biologist, but it was a shark. I know what a shark looks like. I've seen them on the TV. So I'm not letting my dog go. I've got her clipped up. And we're riding around picking up birds with a dip net, like Jeff Coates says. We stopped and got us a little dip nets. We're throwing them things in the boat. And anyway, if we had the water gets so bad, if we hadn't had GPS, we couldn't have found them decoys. We wouldn't have found them. Like it was that bad. Like because they're wadded up, and it's rolling like 6-8 foot rollers, and we're out there in a dang bathtub, a metal bathtub. So anyway, we finally see them going on in. It's about 7:55, and they're going back in. I'm like, Ryan, them chumps, they already went in. I said, let's go. You want to? He said, yeah, man, I'm ready. I'm ready. So we go over there and start trying to pull the anchor up. Well, it's starting to get tangled up in the motor, so I get up, and I've got the boat nosed into the wind. So I grab the decoys and just throw them as far as I can throw them. And when I throw them, the boat has already turned like this, and a wave breaks and hits in the floor of the boat. Doosh, fills the floor of the boat full. I said, forget them decoys. I said, forget them. Go get a life jacket. Well, Ryan goes in there and he's going around, and it's like Gilligan's Island life jacket, one of the orange ones, that just
The kitty life jacket.
the kitty life jacket. It's like the cheapest one.
Not a
we could
good
buy.
First though.
But he's got his own. He's strapping it on, Well, anyway, like he said, we went like 5 miles away from the inlet, and it took us a minute, 2 minutes to get out there because it's slick. It probably took us an hour to get back. And the boat's coming because you got to pull back, and then when you start going up the wave, you got to hammer it, and when you get to the top, you got to pull back where it comes down like this, and it's wide open to nothing, and it's peeing a stream of water, big as a water hose, right out the side, and I'm standing in ankle deep water in this boat, and I am petrified. I mean, petrified. Ryan is sitting there, and we ain't said a word. He's holding on to the dadgum console looking straight ahead, and he's just bug-eyed, and we hadn't spoken to each other, and we're jumping, and we'll fall down, boom, and hit, and we'll just look at each other. I mean, we're scared to death. And, because we've seen that shark, it's cold, it's wintertime, we're the only other boat left out there, and we're thinking,
the tide switching, the wind's picking up.
Hey, this guy was right at the boat ramp, by the way.
Oh yeah. So anyway, we get on into the inlet, and as soon as we get through the inlet, the boat ramp's kind of at the back of the inlet, and there's some people, walking their dog out on the beach, and I'm like, Ryan, take that life jacket off. So we take those life jackets off and kind of.
You know what we call them in Alaska?
What?
Body markers.
That's all they're good for.
Just,
I'm sure they keep me and him afloat.
Well, that's just so your wife gets the insurance check.
Yeah.
They can find a body.
Well, we kick those life jackets up underneath that console, We get them shoved up there, and we unzip the wet jacket off, and we're
looking cool.
Yeah, we're wanting to look cool, come back in there.
Turn the radio on.
And we get on it up into the inlet, and those guys are taking pictures and taking their boat out. And the guide, and I don't remember the guy's name or what service he was with.
It was one of two guys. I can name.
Well, that guy
Probably
is
Ruben
doing
Perez
this.
Or
this guy's
Jeremiah.
doing this, and I'm thinking, what signal is this? Like, are we going too fast? Like, we ain't making no weight. I said, hell, they just drove that big boat down there. There's a dang shrimp boat or some kind of dang offshore boat. What does this mean? I get up there a little closer to the pier, and I take it out of gear, and he said, you got balls this big. He said, I can't believe y'all stayed out there that long in that little boat. He said, I was fixing to take these pictures, and we was coming out there to make sure y'all were making it in all right. I said, oh, man, that ain't no problem at all. And I'm thinking, God, the whole time, I got to get rid of this boat before we get killed. Of course, I didn't, and we took it to Washington State and sunk it. And right after I got off the phone with the insurance adjuster, and he told me that I had to get the boat back out of the water in order to file a claim on it. I said, well, that doesn't make no sense. They didn't get Titanic out of the water. I said, they filed insurance on it. He said, if you want me to believe that you sunk a boat in the Pacific Ocean, then you got to bring it back. Well, anyway, we finally get it out, and I called Steve Hoover on the way home from the West Coast and bought a duck water. And if we hadn't have bought that duck water when we did, we'd have got killed. I'm telling you, I drove that duck water. The duck water is the reason we're doing this podcast. We drove the duck water to the dadgum Bahamas, best vacation we ever been on. And, for me to put my wife and 8 of our buddies, friends in a boat and drive it to another country, it's got to be pretty safe.
You're talking about boats and all back to Island X or whatever. The whole time, I hunted in the dinghy 2 days and hunted in a duck water boat. The difference between us and him is experience and knowledge.
Well, the difference in us and him is he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, he puts you on the edge, but at the same time, you're still in good hands.
Well, the difference is, and that's what you can't teach or you can't learn in a book. You haven't had the experience day after day after day after day, seeing those waves, being in them, knowing what's going to happen, watching the wind, watching the weather, watching it change. And that's the biggest thing that I tell people. Like, if I tell you that it's too rough to hunt, it's too rough to hunt. I mean, there's no question, because we push it right to the edge of safety, or right to the edge where we can hunt. And you guys saw it. I mean, some people get a little pushed out of their comfort zone.
We did look on weather.com when we was in Seattle and sunk the boat, and it was given no small craft warnings, all kind of wind.
And I thought, well, we're in larger than small.
We were just going to hug the coastline. We got to hug it on.
Yeah, we got to walk on.